Hey everybody, it's Professor Kettler. Excuse me. I'm going to talk to you about your week 2 worksheet where you are either researching an alternative method of farming or genetically modifying food. So when you go to the module, go down to the very bottom, you will click on this worksheet and this is what will pop up. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through some of the trouble spots. So the first thing is that you only have to do one of the options. So you can either do option 1 or you can do option 2. Okay, you do not have to do both. Please do not do both. That is extra work on you that I'm sure that you don't need to be doing, and instead be doing something fun. So just choose one. Now you can complete this in a separate Word document, but your Word document needs to match this. Honestly, I would just go ahead and use the one that's being provided. That makes it easy and you don't forget anything. So if you choose option 1, you pick just one of these alternative methods. So you would just choose small scale farming, or you would just choose alternative livestock production systems or perennial agriculture. So just choose one and then type in, right, whatever one you are doing. Okay. For if you choose genetic modification, you're answering these questions here. And when you are given these questions, I honestly would recommend that you're providing at least 3 to 5 sentences, so a paragraph. When I typically have students who just put in 1 to 2 sentences, there's typically not enough information for me to adequately grade the assignment, and they end up scoring poorly in the rubric and getting an overall score that is not something that they wanted to earn. So the more effort you put in here, the better your grade will be. So looking back at this, how does this method work? So you're gonna have to do some outside research, and I'm gonna kind of show you something to do with that in just a second. What is the impact of this method on the environment? So you're going to have to do some research about small scale farming. Same thing if you were to do the genetic modification, you're going to have to do some research for that. Now they both are asking to list economic pros and cons of the farming method. You do not have to do all 5. I would say at least 3. You need at least 3 pros and 3 cons. If you want to do all 5, great. And then finally, how do economic factors influence the use of this method of farming? So you're looking at the costs associated with that farming, how much is it producing, like cost benefit analysis essentially. And then finally, provide at least one government resource to support your responses. So that is going to come into play with number 2. So let's say we want to look up small scale farming, right? USDA is the first thing that pops up. That's awesome because it's a government website. So we're going to click on this and we're reading through this, right? And you just go through, this is talking about risk management, the microloan program. So you can click on these things and help yourself to all kinds of information about small scale farming. Now, as far as citing this source, so I would copy that website and, when it says provide at least one government resource, you need to be using APA format. So there's a fun tool that lets you use a citation generator. It's called Scribbr. So you just type in SCRIBBR into a web browser and this will pop up, and you'll want to choose citation tools and then the citation generator, and it should bring you straight to this page. And because I pulled the information off of a web page, all you do is you paste the web page in there and you hit cite, and it will find the article that you, or the website that you went to, and you click it, and we say, okay, this is what I want. And you can copy that to the clipboard, and then you can go ahead and go into your paper and just paste it. And so now you have a proper APA formatted citation, which is what you should have. So same thing with genetic modification. Okay. So once again, you're only choosing one method. So you're either option 1 or option 2. Do not do both. Now, as far as what I'm looking for, this is kind of the links that I suggest. So like for question 2, describe how this method works, 2 to 3 paragraphs, because just depending on the method of farming that you choose, it's going to take you that amount of to adequately address that, how the method works and what it is doing to impact the environment. It needs that length. For the pros and cons, 3 to 5 for each. I told you don't have to do all 5. You can just do 3 pros and 3 cons, or 3 pros and 4 cons, whichever works for you. For number 4, I would suggest a length of about 2 to 3 paragraphs, because you're talking about, economic factors that are involved, the cost benefit of that particular method. And then same thing with the genetically modified foods. What are their impacts on individuals and on the environment? So good and bad essentially is what number 1 is about. I also say make sure that you are using scientific sources when you're looking up genetically modified foods, because there is a huge amount of misinformation about GMOs on the internet that look completely legitimate, and they are false reports about their health issues, that they cause cancer. Like there's a lot of misinformation out there, so be really careful about the sources that you use. And then once again, 3 to 5 pros and cons, economic pros and cons. That's the other thing too. We're not talking about, potential pro is that it's more nutritious. That's not an economic pro. Okay. We want, like, what is the pro of, perhaps how much money are people making off of it? How much do farmers make off of it? Whereas the con might be the cost of it to the consumer. So make sure that your pros and cons are economic pros and cons. And then for number 3, 2 to 3 paragraphs talking about the economic factors that influence the use. So like, why are they being used, economically? If you have questions about this assignment, please reach out and ask me. I will be more than happy to help you. But just remember that really this particular worksheet is focused on the economics of these topics and not just general pros and cons, or, just general like GMOs are bad, or, small scale farming doesn't work. You need to be very mindful of the information that you are putting into this worksheet. Now, if you look at the rubric for this particular, excuse me, for this particular assignment, right? So this is talking about, I know it says like the agricultural methods, but you can replace that with GMOs as well if you choose the GMO topic. These are the things that I am looking for whenever I grade your assignment. So just make sure that, you're very thoroughly answering the questions, and that there's a lot of good, solid, research-backed information that you are putting into this particular assignment. All right. I look forward to reading your work.